am I finally getting closer to the finish line with this renovation project? Well, today we are going to tackle a messy job, but let's just check in and actually see how far we've come over the past couple of weeks. So if you have been here with me on this journey, walls have come down, both external and internal. A couple of weeks back, it was carnage. It was rubble, bricks, blocks, steel beams were going in. Kitchen cupboard doors had to come off and be prepped, primed, freshly painted. Tiles were removed. Yes, I wasn't expecting to do the tile backsplash, but that is another job that I surprised myself and I tackled. All that messy adhesive that feels like a distant memory. Then there was the torment of all that painting. Fresh plaster had to be primed. The rooms had to be colour drenched. Oh yes, painting ceilings. I said I'll do this myself and save a few pennies. Pennies were saved. Shoulders were aching. Then I started to get into the kind of more detailed stuff. So some lights needed to be wired and fitted. I started popping some switches in too. And today, yes, finally, there was some floor drama. The drama was I could not find someone to lay what I wanted and they kept ghosting me. But I have a floor installation date. So now I am panicking, trying to get this prepped before the install. So sit back, relax, and come keep me company while I tackle more jobs as I try to get to the home stretch, hopefully before Christmas. So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of messy, tedious jobs, but oddly satisfying. But I'm already procrastinating because I know I need to start the job, but I don't want to do it. Now, I have a massive Black Friday code for you. So if you are a skincare lover and you are chasing the glow this winter, I have a huge Black Friday discount code for you. Now, thank you for the confidence on my skin over the past couple of months, and especially in the renovation videos, because I was pretty much barefaced, bar a bit of, tinted moisturizer for most of the videos because I was just ankle deep in dust. But for the past year, I have been using the Foreo products, and one of them I think that has made the most difference to my skin is the LED mask. So the FAQ 202. So the FAQ 202 is the next generation in LED skincare. But first of all, my favorite thing about this mask is I look like a Power Ranger. If someone was to break into my house, do you ever see them reels? They have their LED mask on and their other bits and bobs, and it's like when a burglar breaks into my house and this is what they see. I love that. What I like about this is it's lightweight, so I can do like a bit of emails or whatever. I'm not having to sit plugged into a wall having to do anything. So this is completely wireless. It's also really light, and there's a good bit of space around the eye so I can actually do things. You can read, do emails while you're waiting for your treatment. I'm currently doing the 15-minute anti-wrinkle treatment, and I'll do this treatment probably 3 times a week, and you can use it with the serum or you could use it without it as well. The serum just gives you an extra little boost. I've got 8 targeted LED wavelengths, including near infrared, and the mask works beneath the surface to reduce wrinkles and fine lines. I find this time of year dehydration makes my skin look more tired. So my forehead, frown lines, kind of around the eyes, and it's exasperated, is that the word? Basically, the colder air and late nights and party season. I'm not out all the time, but obviously over Christmas there's lots of kind of events and meetups with your friends, and it's all indoors as well. So you're going from cold outside to the central heating inside, and my skin is always more dehydrated this time of year, so my wrinkles look more pronounced, you could say. I find my skin just looks a bit more tired in winter. So on this mask, you've got 600 points of light on it, so it ensures a deep penetration, while a very gentle heat prepares the skin by dilating the pores, allowing the LED therapy to work more effectively. So you can use this for 5 to 15 minutes, 3 times a week to see results. And I use this alongside my other Foreo products. So I have the Luna, which I use every day. And then I have the UFO. So if you have a night out or you need like an instant hit of hydration. So for me, I'll do a 15-minute LED treatment and then I will finish it off with the UFO. And then that just gives me an instant, it's like I've had a spa facial, but it's been in the comfort of my own home. I feel like I'm more confident in my skin, like just putting on a little bit of tinted moisturizer, doing my brows and being a bit more barefaced. Like in my 20s, it was like full face or nothing, going to work, going to the shops. Whereas now I love when people compliment my skin and not my makeup, if that makes sense. So there is a close-up of my skin. So all I've done is cleansed. I used my Luna when I was cleansing. Then I put the peptide serum on, I did my mask, and then I've just done a UFO and I used the pink one, which is Glow Addict. I think I'm running out of masks. I need to do my own stock up. Make My Day is a good one as well. And H2O Addict? No, H2O something. That's a good one. I'll try find a picture of it. And now for the moment you've been waiting for. Now is actually the best time to try one of the Foreo products, and you can use my discount code and you can stack it on top of already discount items on site. So if you would like to shop the Foreo Black Friday deals, my discount code, which I will pop on screen, you can use that along with the link for an additional 35% off on almost all Foreo products, which means you can get up to 50% off on Foreo products. So if you've had your eye on any of the items, or if you need to stock up on the masks, which is what I need to do, or if you want to try any of the serums to use alongside the mask, or if you'd like to try the mask itself, now is the best time to get your discount on it. And I feel like winter's a good time to, I don't know, invest in your skincare. I will do my evening skincare as soon as it gets dark. So I feel like, yeah, there's more me time, I think, in winter. Okay, we now have to strip a lot of skirting boards. So let's get into it. So to take off my skirting boards, I have three items. I nearly did two, there are three. I've got hammer, crowbar, and this little spacer. Don't even know what you would even call this. I got it off the guy who quoted and ghosted, if you saw the last video I was chatting about the floor. So this thing, I don't know, take a screenshot of it and do a little image search. I think it's just like a spacer. There was something similar on the doors when they arrived, like little gap thingies. A gap spacer thingy. Yeah, I'll show you what I'm gonna do. And also the marker. Ah yes, my Sharpie, because I need to label on the back of every piece I take off where it goes back on to make it easier on install day for when they get put back on. Or else they'll be trying to match up. Like I have meters of skirting to take off. So I'll put a little map on the back, and I'll even group them. I might group them together and be like, this is hallway skirting, stick it there. This is kitchen skirting, stick it there. And it'll have location on the back. Okay, this is gonna be a tedious job, but it has to be done. This job is not a fun job, but if you want to save a few pennies on the floor installation, then doing a bit of prep work. Now in saying that, a floor fitter would probably have these off in a fraction, a fifth of the time it's gonna take me. Now actually, this wasn't too long of a job. The sanding and the painting is what's going to be, you know, a long job. However, at least I'm not going to be, one thing I hate is painting skirting boards. So if I can paint them when they're off, which is my plan. So I do have about 2-3 weeks, if I paint on time, for the paint to cure. So I did say in the last video that there's a difference between the drying time of your paint and the cure time. So something can be touch dry within a few hours, and then as it starts to cure over the course of like 1 week, 2 weeks, it all depends on the paint that you use. If it's water-based, if it's oil-based, that paint will harden and it will be less chippy. So my plan is get these off, get these prepped. We are going to clean, sand, prime, paint them. And then they are going to be perfect it. And the floor fitters are gonna stick them back on for me because I just feel like I deserve that. I've been trying to do a lot of jobs to save the pennies, but at least they can stick them back on. And the great thing is they're all going to be pre-cut and ready to go. So all I have to do is stick them on, and then I'll do some caulking afterwards because that's a fun job. I mean, I'll only have to do a few little touch-ups. So if they use a nail gun, I will just fill in the little gaps that's left and we will do a touch-up. But at least the bulk of that paintwork is going to be done. Now, when you're taking off the skirting boards, there's inevitably going to be a little bit of damage. So you may get some pieces of plaster that might come off. There's going to be old paint that will lift. And then you're going to have things like if there was caulk and adhesive. I'm using the good old crowbar, my favourite tool. I just feel like a boss when I'm using it. It looks like I'm whacking it, but I am trying to be gentle because I don't want to mark the wood on the top, so I don't want to cause any dents. I don't mind if I get one or two because I can sand it smooth, but ideally I want this to be come off as perfect as I can. So that spacer thing, I find I didn't need it on every piece of skirting board, so I just tapped in all the way across and then I gently pried it. So the skirting boards in the hallway in the kitchen, they are here. I'm going to assume since the house was built in 1999, and whoever put them on, thankfully, whoever that person was, it wasn't too bad because they hardly used any nails and they used some adhesive. So there was actually large nails. So you know nowadays how nail guns, I feel like people are a bit nail gun happy with the pins. There wasn't too much. So only the new pieces that my builder recently put on do I have to hammer out some of those nails. So these skirting boards have been held up for the last 25, 26 years with adhesive and the odd nail. So I don't know what adhesive they use, but I mean, I kept them there. I kept them up. I've never had a skirting board fall off. So for about an hour and a half, I'm going around tappy tappy, wacky wacky, softly pry off, and then I'm going to stick the map on the back. So some of the pieces I may have to just get a new piece of skirting because the corner pieces have a lot of adhesive on them. So I don't know if it's just easier to just cut a piece. I will try to get as much off, but some of them you kind of have to be like, what is worth my time? So if I can spend €10 on a plank or a length, even though €10 sounds very cheap, I think a length of this pine skirting board is about €20, or maybe they come in packs of 3 for 20, 25, I don't know. So if something gets a bit damaged, I don't mind cutting a piece to replace it and then I'll stick it back on. We will paint it and we will prep it. I'm not that stingy. I know I'm trying to save money, but I don't mind having to spend on a length to do some repair. When I was in the floor shop, you can get the fitters to bring some skirting boards, but the problem I had was it wasn't real wood. It wasn't real wood. So they had white ones that you could paint, so they came primed, but it was just MDF and it didn't have, like the pine ones that I have here have more like detail on them. They have like just that extra bit of curve on the top. So when I weighed up all of the like extra brand new skirting board, and then I was like, nah, I will just try and use what I have because it is the exact same skirting that is in the rest of the house. So I didn't want to get something that wouldn't match the rest of the house. So that's why I'm going to go with this, but I am going to be painting it. I did kind of like the tone of the wood, but because of the colour of the floor and with all of the other painted pieces of skirting in my house, I am going to paint this. So you will see later in the video, hopefully, if I get around to painting in this video, I will paint it to match the wall, but obviously do it in a satin finish paint for wood. That's going to be nice and durable. And I'm so excited for the floor to be installed. And then we'll have these lovely, freshly painted skirt boards going on. We'll do all of the caulking and all of that renovation dust and dirt will be a distant memory. Now you'll see also as I'm going along, there was 1 or 2 tiny pieces of the old floor tile. Now I have one regret, and it's hard because obviously 2020 gives you, hindsight gives you 2020 vision, and it's easy for me to say this now, but I wish I had have removed the skirting boards back in September, labelled them
stored them. Could have even painted them while I was waiting for the builders to do work, because they would have had to have come off anyway for the floor install. But there is a few corners where there was 1 or 2 pieces of tile from when they took it up, and a little bit of the floor leveling compound then went around it. So I don't know, I'm a stickler for detail and attention to detail, but this will all be cut. You won't notice this because the floor will be down, the skirting boards will be down, and they probably won't be coming up for a good long time. So I was able to just hammer out any of those pieces, because that would annoy me knowing that those old pieces are there when the new floor goes down and skirting boards. Anyone else like that? I don't know, it's like I cannot leave. Some people will wallpaper over wallpaper. I can't do that. You can do it, it's not a crime, but me, I don't know what it is. I have to strip and remove things like that. I can't have, I don't know, my brain is like, no, but I'll know. So yeah, attention to detail. Sometimes it's a bit annoying. So I chiseled all that out and then swept it off. And I also am pulling off any bits of caulk and adhesive off the wall, because then that will give me a nice clean surface for the new adhesive to go on when the skirting boards go back on the wall. With all of the jobs I've done in the house and, you know, the renovation stuff, I feel like I've seen the bones of this house. I know which wall is brick. I don't know, it's weird. It's like I've seen what's underneath. I know where there's wood, where there's plasterboard, where there's brick. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen its bones at this stage. I do love the confidence that comes with tackling jobs like these. So yeah, renovations has been a big learning curve. Last week it was fitting some lights. This week it's stripping some skirting boards.
So I've just found a train ticket. I've also just realised that corner here, so my boiler is in there and I have some storage. But when I took off the skirting board, there's MDF. So that is actually a built-in. So it's great for storage. I do want to do a nicer, I can't block this because it's an air vent, but I can make it prettier now. So I just realised that. I was like, oh, this isn't concrete. It's like hollow. And then someone built a cabinet because this was a bedroom. Now, I found a train ticket and I love when I find things like this. So when the demolition was done, I think I found like a couple of old pennies. But I've just found a train ticket. So guess the price. The year is 2012 and they got the train station from town. So they got it from Dublin to my local train station, and it was for the 21st of the 12th, 2012. I feel like, is that the solstice? And adult single, I'll just hide my local train station, but it was €2.80. So €2.80 to go from Connolly. I actually, in fairness, travel did get expensive and then it wasn't too bad because I've often gotten the train. See, I have a Leap card. Everything is like tap now. You can still buy these train tickets and they still look like that with the yellow on them. Oh, did you see the big dead spider on that? Oh, that touched my hand. Breathe, breathe. Oh, no. Thank God it was dead. Oh, I have to heebie-jeebies now. Look at the size of them. Oh no. That's going straight in the Hoover. The next time you see me taking something, and oh, I have my head right under as well. Also, another thing, I would like to talk about wood quality. That's what she said. So the old pieces of skirting board are really hard pine, and the pieces of pine, so this house was built in 1999. I'm going to assume that the skirting boards that are here since 1999, and the old skirting boards are really good quality, which is kind of why I want to salvage them. They're really solid, and as I was peeling them off, they didn't take much of the plaster away because the adhesive that was used, it's kind of like this grey stuff. But anyway, the skirting board that my builder patched up with is a really soft pine. I don't know if you can see the difference. And so I can peel these off, and like that, because of the paint, there's not much damage. I'll obviously have to sand all of this edging off. But the pine that was used like in 2025, 25 years ago, is so much softer. Like I had to be so careful taking, like I'll have to just smooth there because it was so soft that when I'm going in with my chisel, I have to be careful not to dent it and carve it. So the quality of wood, which is why I'm trying to salvage these, because if I go to the shop, I'm gonna get this, because this is what I'm assuming my builder just got, like that. It's just your generic piece of pine skirting board. And they did have skirting boards in the floor shop, but it was, again, you could get white skirting boards, but it was that white pre-primed MDF. It wasn't wood. It wasn't wood. So I don't know. Now again, maybe it's the age of these. Do they get harder as they get older? The wood, like when they dry out more? I don't know. But this 2025 wood is just absolutely awful quality compared to this one. Even the weight, this feels so much lighter. Now I know it's a bigger piece, but like the difference. Anyway, am I making sense? Am I just procrastinating? I'm procrastinating. Okay, I just have to do this corner and that's them all off.
Now, I am hoping that this will be the last dusty job in the house, which is kind of making me excited, even though The job that I'm about to do is very tedious, but it's going to give me a lovely, seamless finish. So I need to make sure that the skirting boards, or the area where the skirting boards are going to be go back on, are nice and smooth. I need to make sure that there's no old adhesive there. Anything poking out that's going to cause the skirting boards to not be flush against the wall. So any little bump will make it stick out. So I'm going to try and get these as perfect as I can so that I will have a lovely high standard of finish when the floor is down and the skirting boards go back on. We are in the messy middle right now. We are in the absolute thick of it. I also want to sand off. So you know when you paint your wall, and obviously you don't remove your skirting boards. Well, maybe some people do, but most of the time you don't. So you'll get like a little buildup of paint. So I wanted to just sand that off. So when I removed these skirting boards, I noticed there was that kind of lip. Yeah, like a lip of paint. So I am sanding that, which is really tedious, but it's going to make it look less DIY and more like a professional job. I'm using my sander for this, and I'm using an electric one because I just wasn't arsed charging the batteries. So I do have a cordless sander, but I just find if you're doing it, I find the sanders burn through the batteries. So I am plugged in. I am electric. I am mains powered today. I'm using a 60 or maybe 80. I'm using a very gritty sandpaper. So I think it was a coarse 60 that I was using just to rip off any old pieces of paint, adhesive, and anything that was sticking out. I am also going to pull out a couple of nails, thankfully. Oh, there is a God, because there wasn't too many nails. Now, unless they're all stuck in the pieces of skirting board, and when I go to prep them, I'll have to pull them out. But thankfully, the walls weren't too damaged from the nails. So I'd say there was only about 5 or 6 nails that I had to pull out of the wall. Once all of this area is prepped, I will do a coat of paint just around the base. So at least then when the skirting boards go on, there's not going to be any gaps between like where the wall finishes and the skirting boards begin. So I will run around with my roller and paint, and I will touch up the paint as well at the bottom. So then when the skirting boards go on, I am hoping in my head, I'm like, this will be lovely and seamless and hopefully look like a professional job. Even though I was the painter to save on pennies, and I kind of regret that. But then when you see the price of what the painters want to charge it, I suppose rightly so, because it is kind of tedious work. But I was glad to do this bit of prep to save on the pennies. I'm also going to sand. Well, I started sanding a little bit today just while I had the orbital sander, because I have some paint drips and chips on the door surround, so the architrave, because just some previous paint jobs that were rushed. Yes, I rushed them. So now I'm just taking the time to do it proper. So I do have a mouse sander that I will be using to go around them in more detail, but we will come back to that at another stage. But I cannot wait for the whole hall to have lovely painting. We've caulked everything, and then I don't have to think about it for a long time. We will not be painting this again. Not for a good while anyway. And thank you for sticking with me. I know November is a big Christmas month on YouTube, so I know a lot of creators will start doing, some decorating stuff. And I do plan on doing that, but I cannot get to that place if I don't have this done in time for the floor to come. I really don't want to put up a Christmas tree if I don't have a floor down. So yeah, please stick with me over the next few weeks. I don't know if I'll get a Christmas tree up in time, but I do plan on doing some decorating soon, at least in the living room. And I'd love to, get some nice Christmassy footage of different places. So yeah, I would love to know, did you do any projects this autumn, or have you got any plans to maybe do a winter project, something in January, February to keep you motivated in the dark evenings? Or are you more of a summertime project? Summer is a great time because obviously you've got way more light in the day and it's warmer, so things dry quicker. But I'd love to know if you have any tedious jobs like this that you need to do or get done before Christmas. And then let me know in the comment section, because I love sitting down and having a read off the comments and seeing what projects or what things you're doing, and also things you're struggling with, because then I feel less alone in this journey.
let's have a quick check-in. I'm on my different camera as well, so I'm going to try and keep it nice and steady, but the image stabilization is not as good as my other one. So I finally patched this up here. That has been annoying me. I will have to give it a second coat of paint, and I cannot wait for the day to finally remove all of the tape off of the stairs and scrub them. So that day, it is going to be soon. So I have done all of the kind of base prep. I sanded all of the rough edges where the skirting boards are going to go. I also removed any adhesive that was on the wall, and nails. There was a couple of nails. So once, these look awful now, but once the skirting boards go on, it should be a nice little seamless, tidy job. I did it all in here as well. So this wall over here kind of had the most that I needed to sand back. Hang on, we go over here. And I just had to fill in a couple of areas. So the skirting board should come up here. When I've sanded them, they're still on the floor. This is the next tedious job. Once I have done all of these, I can just stick them up and see like how far they're going to come up. And then once they're all on, and I do some caulking, yeah. Also, the table. That pear plant is I don't know, carrying the happiness of the room on its shoulders. It is the only floral shiny thing here, still upside down. Now, I will have to, obviously, this will all have to be gone for when the floor fitters come and all of this. So I still have a lot to do. So the next job now, I was gonna start it, but it keeps raining. It is so grey outside today and it keeps raining, and I'm gonna sand the skirting boards outside, obviously, because I just don't want any more dust. But yeah, very heavy today. Very heavy today. So yeah, I'm gonna have to just take a rain check on that one.
It was at this point of the project I actually questioned my choices. Maybe it was, I had DIY doubt. The DIY doubt. Please let me know I am not the only one who has suffered from this condition. Basically, I was weighing up the trade-off between cost and my time. Now, I will be painting the skirting boards anyway, so even if I purchased new skirting boards, I would still have to go through the time of measuring, cutting them to size, sticking them on, and painting them. So I've skipped the step of measuring and cutting, but I did spend that time on removing them, and now this tedious job of scraping. I've become a pro at scraping things, because if you saw the tile video where I was scraping the adhesive, I also too had DIY doubts and I questioned my decisions. But like all good DIYs, you just get through it and then you forget about it. That tile adhesive is a distant memory. And also, I'm only going to have to do this once. Touch wood. Of all the planks of wood or skirting board that I saved, there's only 2 pieces that I'll have to replace. And these had just split when I came off. So where the nail had gone through, there was a knot in the wood, and when I was removing it, it just split. And I was like, this isn't worth gluing back together. I don't think I can get it perfect. So for those 2 small pieces, I'll just have to get a length of skirting board for that. On the newer pieces of skirting board, the adhesive was like this jelly stuff, and it was so easy to peel off. I don't know if that's a good thing that it was so easy to peel off, but the adhesive on the older boards, the boards that we are going to guesstimate that they're a good 20 years plus, that adhesive was solid. So I had to use my scraper tool to kind of just go at it and pick it off. I also had to be careful not to damage the edges. And I also scraped off the top bits of paint. There wasn't too much caulk on these because I didn't caulk them when I painted. And caulking makes, when you're painting woodwork and trim, a bit of caulk will make it look like a proper job. But I didn't caulk them, which actually has saved me because it means sometimes caulk, it's a bit more rubbery, I find, and it's a little bit harder to peel off, like silicone. But I didn't have any of that, so that was a win. So the only thing I had on the edges was a buildup of paint, and that came off really quickly with some elbow strength or elbow crease and my scraper tool. Anything else will come off with the sander, but I want to get all of the bulk off so that when these skirting boards are flush against the wall, there's not going to be anything that's going to make it poke out. I won't have any unevenness, and if I do have any small gaps, caulk and filler. What is it? There's this saying that tradies use: do your best and caulk the rest. So my goal for the skirting boards is scrape off all of the adhesive, sand all of the pieces. Now the new pieces are smooth enough. They will just have to be primed with a bit of bin, so some shellac based primer, because it has all that knotty primer. So if you've ever painted wooden doors and skirting boards and you've noticed after a while, maybe a year or two, you might get some bleed through. So you might start to see the knot. So the knot in the wood is that like brown circle, for anyone who doesn't know. And this will release an oil over time. And if you don't use a primer suitable for blocking that, it will bleed through your paint job. So if you've ever been like in an older house and they've maybe got gloss paint on the doors and you see this like yellowy, orangey brown kind of circular stain, it is the knot underneath that is bleeding some oils off and causing that discoloration. So I will prime everything and then I will give it the 2 coats of the top coat, and then they will be ready to go on. And also they will have enough time to cure in the room so that when the floor fitters go to stick them back on, they probably are going to put in a new nail gun or whatever. Hopefully they can use a lot of adhesive to stick them on and they don't have to use too many nails. So I may get a tiny paint chip with that, but I'm hoping because they'll have like about 2 weeks for them to cure before they get fitted, I shouldn't, touch wood, have big chips. And then I'll just come along, fill them in when I'm caulking and do any paint touch-ups where it's needed. I originally painted the skirting boards and door frames back in, I'm going to say 2014, and they were orange pine and magnolia walls. And I remember painting the skirting boards and it instantly, because the hallway is so small, it instantly just made it feel so much bigger and brighter. But I've said it before on the channel, I definitely did a rush job. I was trying to get, I'm not sure if I was on YouTube at the time when I painted them, but I know I was like working 6 days at the time, and then I was trying to get projects done in the house and I was like rushing things. So these skirting boards, I'm so happy that they are off because I can give them the attention that they need, the proper attention. So I don't know, if you look carefully, you might see that there's some paint drips. I didn't do a proper prep when I originally painted them, and it shows. It shows, and they have chipped over the years because like that, I didn't do a proper prep. So once all of the boards are sanded, I will prime them and then I'll paint them, and then I will pray that when they go on the walls and the floor, that it will just look neat and tidy. And this DIY dilemma will be a distant memory. But I would love to know, have you ever done a project in your house and you've maybe tried to salvage something and it ended up costing you more time than it was worth it? I kind of feel like this could have been one of them, but I would rather scrape off the adhesive than measure and cut skirting boards, because I've said it before on the channel, my maths doesn't math sometimes, and trying to work out angles, sometimes I'm a little bit off. So I will take scraping over miters any day.
I have just come in and I am trying to light the fire. And I don't know if you can hear it. Oh, can you see it? Oh, it's getting going. Thank you for sticking with me. I promise we will get around to doing fun decorating stuff very soon, because all I have to do now is prime and paint them, and I won't bore you with that. And then the floor will be installed, and I have an install date. And then hopefully you will see what those skirting boards look like. Sorry, that noise is the cats. Björg! Oh, she's playing with, she's having witching hour. And now Bon has gone up to her, so you'll hear, it'll sound like there's like an elephant upstairs, but it's the two cats. I love the feeling of when you've been outside and it was absolutely torrential downpour this morning, and then I had to wait for it to dry up so I could go outside and sand, and it's such a beautiful autumnal evening. Afternoon, because let's face it, it'll be dark now in 10 minutes. And I love the feeling of when you come inside and you light the fire. I feel like it's just such a little luxury, the feeling of it. Yes, there will be fun. I hope there will be fun. The next video will be a decorating video, because as you can see, lavender wreath is still here. That is going to get changed, and we will do some Christmas decorating in the living room. The kitchen area, I don't know. That might be December. Listen, it'll all happen when it's supposed to happen. And yeah, thanks for sticking with me. I did think I would be like further ahead in whole renovation stuff than I am now, but I think that's just, things don't always go to plan. And I definitely I think I messed up when it came to the floor situation, because I really should have spent more time planning that, because that's the thing I came in. You know what, everything was going so smoothly. I think I was getting like it felt like my, touch wood, like my doors went well. I went in, I got them, they gave me a delivery date, I paid them, it was just smooth. And my builder as well, as smooth as can be. And I just maybe assumed the same would be with the floor, and that kind of threw spanners into the works. But touch wood, I don't want to jinx the floor. I've done the prep work. I will paint them skirting boards, which you'll see in a future video, and hopefully the next second or third. The next video I think is going to be decorating, and then like aside from the Sunday videos, the Sunday videos, I will have a floor reveal video very soon. It's not down as I speak, but it will be soon, so please subscribe. Stick with me. Someone in the comment section, I was saying, because I want the videos to be engaging, but how engaging can it be to watch someone pull nails out of a skirting board? But some of you were like, listen, we would watch you watch paint dry. So thank you. Thank you for that. I think there's that pressure to just, I don't know, constantly have, you know, great progress in a YouTube video. But okay, I'm actually going to edit this video, but I'm going to do it with my feet next to the fire and a cat on my lap. So I'll see you in the next one.